Lasher Home Comfort Systems.
Life can be complicated, but saving money shouldn't be. At OU Federal Credit Union, they make saving simple and stress-free. The best part? They have no hidden fees. Joining OUFCU means you're in control of your financial future. Whether it's a rainy day fund or saving for that dream vacation, they've got you covered. Visit OUFCU.com or come by one of their branches today. OU Federal Credit Union, where savings is simple and dreams come true. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA.
Hi, I'm Tanner Mordecai with the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm here to share my experience with the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. They came highly recommended, and my experience could not have been any better. I worked directly with the owner, Newt Mitchell, and he helped me design the perfect ring for my future bride. I was confident I picked the right one with the help from the great people at Mitchell's. Anytime my friends ask for suggestions, I know where to send them, and I'm telling you the same. If you want a great experience and the perfect ring, you can trust the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. Shop with them in Norman or check out their website or socials.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When students struggle because they are hungry
or fall behind because they lack school supplies,
a caring adult can make all the difference.
Especially someone from the community.
Someone who knows the students
and the obstacles they might be facing.
At Communities in Schools, our site coordinators surround students with a community of support
to ensure that they have everything they need to engage in learning.
We go all in for kids, all day, every day.
To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Maybe I'll sunshine pump for the next hour, Grayson. I'm in a sunshine pumping type of mood.
Are you really?
Yeah. Well, it's going to seem like sunshine pumping to certain people, but there's a major commitment happening today, and it gives me occasion to sunshine pump in a sense. And we'll get to that in just a second. But first and foremost, I want to remind you all off the top that Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Fantastic service advisors and technicians out there, a low-pressure sales environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and obviously the GMC line offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the market. So go check out Dorsey Jones out in El Reno. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is available to you at 405-651-3439. The text line is abuzz, Grayson, with guesses as to who who the Ref's next 9 to 12 host may be alongside Josh Helmer here on the home of Sooner fans. But we're going to table that conversation for a while. I'm sure people will still be throwing out guesses throughout the show, as they have all day, ever since it was announced that Plank and Blake Gamble are going to be taking over 6 to 9 for Toby and TJ come July 1st. Now, Grayson, the major commitment that is happening today is that of five-star offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell from Nixa, Missouri.
Yep.
He is, according to some services, the number one player in the nation. Across the board, regarded as a top 3 player in the nation.
Yep.
By definition, like, if there is a can't-miss prospect, this guy checks every single box. He's got a double Olympic bloodline. Both of his parents were Olympic shot put athletes for the United States. So, we're talking about a guy that has Olympic blood on both sides of his genetic aisle, if you will. He's 6'8", 320 pounds.
He's massive.
Yes. Checks every single box imaginable for an elite left tackle prospect, and one that, assuming things don't go catastrophically wrong, assuming he doesn't encounter some sort of injury that hampers his ability to move laterally or something to that. Like, he should be destined for a 10 to 15-year career in the NFL. And at left tackle, you make a lot of money in the NFL if you emerge as a starter. That should be in Jackson Cantwell's future. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. No reason, certainly, that's within his control. Now, Jackson Cantwell is scheduled to commit here in about 45 minutes. Grayson, no one has any idea what school he is picking.
Isn't it down to Georgia and Miami for him?
Well, it depends on who you listen. Like, it's very clear it's down to 3. He has a top 4. Ohio State, really not in the picture.
Right.
It's Georgia, Miami, Oregon. And depending on who you follow, who you trust, and there are some very trustworthy people out there that I work with or have worked with in the past or that I know personally, and even they are all over the place. Right? You got some people saying it's going to be Miami. You got some people saying it's going to be Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You got some people saying that Oregon's still in the mix, lurking. They just did an in-home visit with him yesterday. They feel like they might be able to sway the battle late. Whichever way it goes here at about 2:45 for Jackson Cantwell. It is May 13th, Grayson. This is a high-profile, probably the highest-profile recruiting battle that the 2026 cycle will see because of the significance of the prospect therein. And he's making a decision on May 13th. Regardless of what the decision is around 2:45 p.m. Central Time, the road doesn't end here in the pursuit of Jackson Cantwell for the schools that don't wind up with his commitment.
No, yeah. I mean, if he's committing today and he intends to shut down his recruitment, he's going to have to block a ton of people because those calls are still going to keep coming. Those offers are still going to keep coming. And the fact I find this fabulous that nobody knows where he's going to go.
I know, I love it.
I love that because it's going to be pure theater at 3 different watch parties in 3 different parts of the country.
Listen, I love the work I do. I love gathering scoops on recruiting, and obviously a lot of that is trying to peg where guys are going to commit when that date comes for each of them individually. I've been a part of some phenomenal ceremonies and announcements and high-profile ones over the years, but there will always be a special place in my heart for recruitments like these.
Oh, yeah.
Where the kid walks into the room to make the announcement with all the hats on the table and nobody has any idea. Because how many of those do you get these days?
Not very many.
Few.
I mean, you broke the Ryan Gilbert news yesterday, and that's 2-3 days before he's set to commit on May 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when it comes to this dude, we had Seth log an expert prediction that he's going to Miami. Expert in air quotes, by the way, because nobody knows what the hell is going on. I mean, I saw last week that people are thinking he's going to go to Georgia. I saw 2 weeks ago that Oregon's in a good spot. Ain't nobody know what the hell's going on.
You got expert predictions all over the place right now. Some have picked Oregon, some have picked Miami, some have picked Georgia.
There's expert predictions, literally, and I mean no offense to anybody who's logged these predictions, by the way. I say this tongue-in-cheek. They're expert predictions, and nobody knows a thing.
There are some very credible people.
Yes.
Very credible people in this industry who are going to be wrong whenever Jackson Cantwell commits to whatever school he commits to.
And I bet he loves this too.
Depending
on the personality of the kid, either you really love this or you're like, get this over with.
I think it's more of the latter with him. But, man, again, May 13th, we are almost 7 months away from National Signing Day. Jackson Cantwell could commit to Georgia today, just to pick one example, and Miami and Oregon are not going to quit hitting his phone line. He could commit to Miami today, and the Dogs are not going to quit hitting his phone line. This recruitment is so far from over, regardless of what hat he picks up later this hour. But I say all this for a couple reasons. One being, and we already got the text from Slim Brady, can't believe Oklahoma didn't pursue Jackson Cantwell. They did. They offered him. They recruited him. He visited Oklahoma, I believe, multiple times. There was just never a ton of interest in Oklahoma, which is interesting, right? Because especially for a guy like that who's looking for development, understands that he's been gifted with a winning lottery ticket in the genetic realm, and can very reasonably expect to make a ton of money one day as an NFL offensive tackle. It's weird that somebody like Bill Bedenbaugh wouldn't move the needle much for Jackson Cantwell, but I'm sure the other side of that coin is he feels like he can go pretty much anywhere, and regardless of how well he is developed by the coach, the physical tools that he possesses are going to be enough to make him a first-round pick and a long-term franchise cornerstone.
Yeah, and Oklahoma also just signed the high-prize tackle in the previous recruiting class with Michael Fasusi. So there is that. It's like, do you really have an opportunity to get back-to-back blue-chip left tackles in back-to-back classes?
It was pretty hilarious when I think he released like a top 15 at the beginning of the year, and Oklahoma wasn't in the top 15, and everybody was on the message boards asking, why isn't Oklahoma in the top 15? Sometimes OU just doesn't move the needle for a kid. But for whatever reason, and that's kind of how it was with Jackson Cantwell.
I also think that has a lot to do with the fact that Michael Fasusi's there, and they're going after Felix Ojo. Now, whether or not they get Felix Ojo remains to be seen. But then, I mean, Ryan Foje's here too. So at some point, a kid can look and say, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this crowded of a room. Let me go elsewhere where I've got a more determined path to play.
Miami, Georgia, Oregon, what's the common denominator there?
Some serious coin.
Serious coin. That doesn't get talked about as much with Georgia as it does with Miami and Oregon, but that's very much a reality of Georgia. We are talking serious coin. Some of the reports that are floating out there about the number that's on the table at him or for him at Miami, $2.5 million for year one.
Good night.
Yeah. Which at this point in time, man, listen, if I had those genetics and those natural abilities, I'd probably be going somewhere where I could get paid big time too. Because development is not, it's frankly not going to matter as much for a kid like that as it would for pretty much anybody else. He doesn't need to be developed and refined the same way that even a Michael Fasusi needs to be developed and refined, right? Like really good athletic tools, certainly, but he's 6'5", 290 as opposed to 6'8", 320, and he doesn't have two Olympic medalists for parents.
You just said 6'5", 290.
Yeah.
As if that's a miniature person.
And compared to Jackson Cantwell, it is. But here's to kind of bring this conversation full circle here. I don't know where Jackson Cantwell's committing at 245. Sooner Shane in Springfield, that's Springfield, Missouri, very close to Joplin and Nixa, says Cantwell hates the recruiting, great kid, it's going to be Georgia. So I guess based on the intel from Sooner Shane, I am putting my future cast on the Bulldogs. We'll see if you lead me astray or not, Sooner Shane. But this is the type of recruitment where I'm very grateful for multiple reasons that Oklahoma is not involved. First off, you have the drama factor. Every single fan base right now that's of the schools that are prominently involved with Jackson Cantwell, Georgia, Miami, Oregon, those people are freaking out right now on their message boards and on social media. I've witnessed it all day. I'm grateful to not have to deal with any of that hoopla because, I mean, think Michael Fasusi decision day.
I was just about to go there.
Think Michael Fasusi decision day times 1,000 because at least you had some sort of reliable compass pointing you in Oklahoma's direction going into Michael Fasusi's decision. That was kind of the consensus across the industry was it's going to be Oklahoma for Michael Fasusi. There is no such consensus right now with Jackson Cantwell. And also with the knowledge that you're looking at an NIL number that's north of $2 million for a single year. My thought on that is there ever a circumstance, and I know we're talking potentially about a generational type of left tackle here. Is there ever a circumstance where you have a singular player outside the quarterback position, because it's the most important position on the field, that is worth north of $2 million? Jeremiah Smith, maybe? There's a case to be made there. You think anybody in the Switzer Center is going to be down with paying $2 million plus to an offensive tackle? Because I do not.
But also, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and value is relative.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know Miami's offensive line situation, either with the guys that are expected to play this year or the guys that they have coming in the next couple of years. So maybe that does warrant that. But a generational type of left tackle, that's one of the 5 cornerstone positions of a good football team. Quarterback, left tackle, wide receiver, pass rusher, corner. So, yeah, there is an argument to be made, maybe not in Oklahoma's case, but for somebody else, there absolutely is a case to be made that you should pay up for a left tackle. The only kicker here is he's never played a down of college football.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks like an NFL player is the counter to that.
Oh, knew we would get this text. Christy sent it in. I'm just happy Cantwell isn't considering Mizzou. Missouri football doesn't deserve nice things. A sentiment no doubt shared with the overwhelming majority of the Oklahoma fan base. But look, Oklahoma's got 4 commits right now. 4 commits, and things are just kind of unfolding at a very gradual pace for the Sooners in the 2026 cycle. I'm okay with that on a day like today, you know? And don't you, like, even if you were the most die-hard recruiting fanatic, don't you kind of like being able to watch a saga like the Jackson Cantwell saga unfold without any emotional investment of your own? Because it's incredible. Like, it's taxing for me to cover high-profile recruitments like this. It's got to be so much more taxing, I would think, for the fan when your entire emotional status for some of these people hinges on whether or not a 17-year-old kid picks your university.
Mm-hmm. Is part of the reason you're so happy about this is so you don't have to do Michael Fasusi 2.0 on crack?
I mean, we may have to do it all over again with Felix Ojo. I don't know.
Where are things standing there, by the way?
I think Oklahoma's top 3. I don't think they're number 1. I don't think they get him. That's where I'm at on Felix Ojo. But I said the same thing last year at this time about Michael Fasusi, and look where that wound up. So we shall see. But yeah, Jackson Cantwell coming off the board to Georgia, Miami, or Oregon later in this hour. And I think
Imagine if he goes to Ohio State.
Oh, my goodness. And all 3 of those programs get left at the altar. The program that's not expecting to land him suddenly lands him. Man, I'm glad Oklahoma's sitting this one out, getting the chance to watch from the sidelines. I'm glad Oklahoma fans get to watch this one from the sidelines. These are the types of recruitments. Like a kid like Michael Fasusi, you love it if you get him, right? Peyton Bowen, how climactic is it when a 5-star prospect with a recruitment that is just rife with twists and turns and new developments? How climactic is it when he finally lands on your school and picks up your hat? But how many are there of those compared to the amount of recruitments where you're there in the top 3 or top 5 and then the kid winds up picking another school? Been there a lot in recent years. David Hicks, Williams Winery. Those are the 2 that most readily come to mind, I think, because they were back-to-back in years where Oklahoma really there were a lot of people that felt like Oklahoma had to have a big-time defensive lineman, and Williams Winery decided before David Stone, about 2 weeks before. And so then once Winery picked Missouri, everybody's like, oh, we're missing on Winery and Stone. And it was a meltdown until Stone mercifully kind of stemmed the tide by landing on Oklahoma and calming everybody down, if only briefly. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll keep talking OU football and recruiting and answering your texts here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line on the other side. Keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be back.
It doesn't seem possible, but we're celebrating our 50th anniversary at Markham's Nursery this spring. Back in 1975, our family started our business down on the farm in Washington, Oklahoma. A lot of things have changed since then, but the honest and appreciative way Bill and Shree serve their customers hasn't changed a bit. Seasoned gardener or just getting started, we can help make your landscape or garden a success. Come celebrate our 50th with the folks who know how to grow in Oklahoma, Markham's Nursery.
Markham's Nursery, just add the sun.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 is Home Creations.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All American Roofing today. All American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400.
Hi, I'm Tanner Mordecai with the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm here to share my experience with the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. They came highly recommended, and my experience could not have been any better. I worked directly with the owner, Newt Mitchell, and he helped me design the perfect ring for my future bride. I was confident I picked the right one with the help from the great people at Mitchell's. Anytime my friends ask for suggestions, I know where to send them, and I'm telling you the same. If you want a great experience and the perfect ring, you can trust the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. Shop with them in Norman or check out their website or socials.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then, someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
CJ Sooner in Florida on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line said, slow day when the home of Sooner fans is spending 17 minutes talking about a guy that's not considering OU. Come on, fellas. Okay, two things, CJ Sooner. First off, yes, it's a slow time right now. I'm sure we all can agree on that. What is happening in the month of May? Not a whole heck of a lot on the sporting calendar.
Well, it depends on which sports you pay attention to.
I suppose if you're an MLB person, baseball season's in full swing right now.
I mean, we do have basketball playoffs.
We talk about football and recruiting here on Locked In, and there's just not a whole lot happening for Oklahoma. And that was kind of the point of the Cantwell discussion was, yeah, there's a lull right now, but isn't it kind of nice to just have a period where there's not much going on and you can kind of sit back and let the bag wars play out without having a stake in them? That was the point of bringing up Jackson Cantwell. And also, it's a recruiting show, 5-star prospect coming off the board later in the hour. Might as well bring it up at the very least. Recruiting boomer, yes, see, exactly. I love being the bridesmaid. It doesn't drive me effing crazy at all. That's how a lot of people feel. Oklahoma has been the bridesmaid a lot in recent years. And they've gotten some good players, too. It hasn't been always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But Oklahoma has come oh so close with so many big-name prospects. So many. We'll run down the list at some point. That'll be something we do later in the summer. Look back at all of the recruits in the last few cycles that wound up having spectacular collegiate careers that Oklahoma was that close.
Sounds like a therapy session.
It will be. It will be for the most part. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line if you would like to chime in. Now, Brian Harris, as we mentioned yesterday, commits on May 23rd. 4-star defensive lineman.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just stretching a little bit. 4-star lineman out of Mandarin, Florida. There's an OU pick in from the great Steve Wiltfong there. So we'll monitor that one. Decent chance that Oklahoma gets the nod from Brian Harris. But I will say there may be another commitment that comes down sooner than that. There may very well be another commitment that comes down sooner than that. And no, that's not to say Ryan Gilbert is swinging back in Oklahoma's direction. I still expect him to pick SMU on Thursday, but wouldn't totally shock me if in the next week or so you see some good news in Oklahoma's favor in the 2026 class. So the drought may not linger that much longer, folks.
Even
if it doesn't end with Brian Harris, like even if it becomes apparent in the next day or two that Brian Harris is going to South Carolina, done deal. Well, the wait may still be over before too long from some of the buzz right now behind the scenes with what Oklahoma's doing in the 2026 class. So this thing's going to get rolling. No doubt it will. I know it's been a long winter for Oklahoma fans that are just waiting for good news, tangible good news from the recruiting trail, and there will be some before too long. I think the biggest question, though, moving forward is, man, what happens at the quarterback position, not just for the sake of whether you get Bo Bentley or Jaden O'Neal, but what impact does that have on your other targets in the class? Because right now, I mean, let's be honest. Do you expect Jaden O'Neal to be doing a ton of peer recruiting on Oklahoma's behalf when it's not even clear that he himself is going to honor his commitment to
I would
OU?
imagine no.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of peer recruiting happening there. Bo Bentley is not yet committed. And so in that sense, you're a little bit behind the curve in the 2026 cycle. That's why whatever happens between those two needs to happen quick. Needs to happen within the next 5-6 weeks. Needs to happen before official visit season gets over in June. And whatever quarterback Oklahoma's rolling with gets the chance to put the good word in with some of his potential teammates. Because it's only natural that, for instance, like we've talked about the connection between Jaden O'Neal and Daniel Odom. Like, what receivers are there out there that want to play with Jaden O'Neal versus what receivers are out there that really want to play with Bo Bentley? Who does Jaden O'Neal have good relationships with versus who does Bo Bentley have great relationships with? We don't really know that yet with Bo Bentley either, because I've compared him to Jackson Arnold as a prospect because I think there's a lot of Jackson Arnold on his high school tape. But Jackson Arnold, during the time that he was committed to Oklahoma, I would say for the first 4 or 5 months, up until about midsummer, everything was very, very quiet on his end. He never did any commitment interviews, never publicly addressed his pledge to the Sooners. And then I think circa July or August, he started opening up, becoming a lot more vociferous, and actively recruiting his peers on social media, for instance, a lot more than he had been to that point. Shoot, when we were doing pregame shows on the Ref all throughout the 2022 football season, Jackson Arnold, a lot of you will remember this, he was a mainstay on the show because what would happen was he would come up every single Saturday to visit campus for the game and help recruit the other uncommitted visitors that were in town. And we had him on for a segment early in the season. And then pretty much every single home game thereafter, he would hit me up and say, hey, can I come do the show again? There were at least a couple shows where he was with us for the entire 2 hours of pregame coverage.
So here's my question. Was he good?
Oh, he was awesome. Yes.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
So y'all just had him breaking down football of the school
he
that's
just
recruiting him?
He was like, let's talk about everything. Man, we don't have to talk about recruiting. We can talk about everything. So, like, it wasn't immediately apparent when he committed in January that this dude is going to be a dynamic peer recruiter. But that is what he wound up being. Could the same be true of Bo Bentley? I imagine it is to a certain extent, but we just haven't seen that side of him yet because he's been very guarded to this point in the process. He'll do the interview circuit every month or so with a few prominent regional and national reporters, and that's about it. He's not tweeting a lot. He's not putting a lot out there on social media. He publicizes his offers, and that's about it. Doesn't even tweet out when he goes on a visit. Doesn't tweet pictures from the visit or anything like that. So very, very low-key. Does that switch flip for Bo Bentley if he's committed to Oklahoma? And if Jaden O'Neal is the one that winds up sticking, I will say we have seen in the past, Jaden O'Neal has been a very active peer recruiter for Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
He was active in helping land Daniel Odom back before Oklahoma offered Bo Bentley. He was instrumental in helping Oklahoma land Marcus Harris last summer. Of course, that didn't last. The Sooners decided to drop him towards the end of the cycle. And so he's already made that impact, but that matters much less in the fall of your junior year as it does in the summer going into your senior year and the fall of your senior year when rubber is meeting the road as Oklahoma pieces together its recruiting class. So all of that work that Jaden O'Neal has done, not to say it is for naught, because it's not, but unless it is compounded upon throughout this spring and this summer, and again, like with everything being in limbo the way that it has been this spring, it naturally hasn't been the greatest environment for Jaden O'Neal to go around and tell all of his buddies out there on the trail, hey, Oklahoma's the place to be. Because he himself doesn't know that right now.
And I think that's the interesting point there, is that you can't pre-recruit and you can't have that guy out there right now because you've dangled this situation over his head for so long. Now, obviously, Oklahoma would be like, yeah, both of you, come on. Like, we would love that. Obviously, he wouldn't love that. Bo Bentley, I don't know, probably wouldn't love that either. But you are losing out on the peer recruiting, which I believe more so than ever with how these guys are connected matters a ton. Now, does that mean Oklahoma's 2026 class is screwed because they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to peer recruiting, especially from your potential incoming quarterback? No, that's not the case, especially with the way Brent Venables and this defense can really recruit. And Emmett Jones seems to be doing good work on the recruiting trail, going after a guy like, say, a Dallas Dickerson, who we've been talking about a lot over the last week or so. So it is a problem. Is it a catastrophe? No. But it is something that if you can get this wrapped up pretty quick, you should be in much better shape than you are already, which is why I'll spin this question to you now. Is there any change? Is there something lingering that would tell you that something is going to happen soon? Is there something imminent? That's the word I was looking for. Is there something imminent when it comes to the quarterback situation?
No, I still don't think there's anything imminent. I think whatever happens is going to happen on the heels of Bo Bentley's official visit to Oklahoma on June 13th through the 15th. Because he's not taking the Georgia OV at this point. Right. They got Jared Curtis, and so it's going to be OU and then LSU. And I feel like there's, for so many reasons, there has to be a drop-dead date, if you will, where Oklahoma has to know one way or the other what's happening with Bo Bentley for the good of the Jaden O'Neal situation and the flourishing of their class as a whole. They got to know which quarterback they're going to be rocking with. Because that impacts, again, who you prioritize at wide receiver, whom you prioritize on the offensive line coming out of OVC. Because you're always going to OV more guys than you need at a given position. Of course. Right? And the recruitment process is going to continue after OVs. There will be certain guys that shut it down. But even so, like, I can recall in past years, there have been plenty of players that have OV'd to Oklahoma that the Sooners have wound up not taking later on because they fill up at a given spot or they just decide, you know what, maybe based on some things that happened during the OV or based on some additional conversations that we've had, we've just decided this guy probably doesn't mesh ideally with what we're trying to do.
Didn't we talk about one guy like that a couple months ago?
That wasn't on an, but like there was, for instance, there was a kid, I won't say his name again. A lot of people are going to know exactly who I'm talking about because they remember this distinctly. I don't think his identity is a secret. But this is the summer of 2023. There was a very prominent blue-chip recruit on the defensive side of the ball that camped with Oklahoma right before his OV. So he came in town, did the camp to work with the staff, then he did the OV. There were some things that happened on his OV that turned the Oklahoma staff off instantly. Like they were like, nope, not doing this.
Is this the same? Is this the same guy we brought
not
up
the
in
same
March?
guy?
Okay.
No, not the where the hose at guy.
Not that
him.
guy. Okay.
No.
There's another one?
Yes, but there were some things that happened on his. Like he was getting the edit, and he was getting ready to commit to Oklahoma that coming weekend. And the staff had to call him like 3-4 days before he was going to announce his pledge to OU, and they had to call and tell him, hey, listen, you don't have a spot here anymore. We can't do it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So those things happen. Seldom, but they happen. The point is, even the guys that take OVs aren't necessarily auto takes for the program. It depends a lot on the numbers game. And it depends, well, here's the thing. The numbers game means two entirely different things in this era, right? It's not just about the scholarship numbers, roster numbers. It's also about the NIL allocation that you have for a given player or a given position group. So,
let me ask you this. If Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley don't end up here, you just brought up that Oklahoma OVs more guys than they intend to take. What's the contingency plan at quarterback if the doomsday scenario happens?
Well, to my knowledge right now, there is no contingency plan.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah. I mean, look, there are going to be plenty of solid, uncommitted signal callers out there that the Sooners can offer and start ramping up contact with if the doomsday scenario comes to fruition and they wind up without Jaden O'Neal and without Bo Bentley. But I think most everyone inside the Switzer Center right now is just counting on one of the two jumping on board or staying on board, as the case may be. And then you don't have to revisit your quarterback board and cobble things together in June or July because for a lot of reasons, that's not ideal. if you offer another quarterback at this point in time, like there's a ton of reasons why you can't do that.
Obviously.
Like,
yes.
That just muddies the waters for both guys, and things are already muddy as far as Jaden O'Neal is considered. But, like, the thing with Bo Bentley, the thing that you can tell Bo Bentley, and I'm sure has been communicated to him, regardless of the level of truth or what people might think of this message, but, like, what they can put in front of Bo Bentley is that you're the only guy that Ben Arbuckle has offered in the 2026 class. You are the guy for us. You are the one that we want. You offer another one, you don't have that to recruit to anymore.
Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is saying Jay Sean Ross.
No comments. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line to all of you that would like to chime in as we wrap up the show on the other side. Final break, and we will have one final segment after a word from our sponsors here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Kicking off on June 14th with Josh Turner.
Would you go with me?
And Edwin McCain. Along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Why don't we just dance?
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations, so you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
At Meals on Wheels of Norman, we deliver more than just meals. We deliver connection, compassion, and care to homebound seniors right here in our community. But we need your help. Volunteer drivers are the heart of what we do, and just a little of your time can make a big impact. Join our team, make a difference. Visit MealsOnWheelsNorman.com or contact us at 405-321-7272 to sign up as a volunteer and start serving smiles today.
Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner has been and continues to be Sooner fans' favorite shopping destination for more than 45 years. When it comes to OU gear, Balfour has the best selection anywhere. Come see the new designs for spring from great brands like Nike, Jordan, Champion, Pressbox, and many others. Balfour has something for everyone with sizes infant through adult and have you covered from head to toe with Sooner hats, shirts, shorts, pants, socks, and everything in between. It's graduation season, so stop by and get something for soon-to-be alums. From diploma frames to OU alumni license plates, auto decals, lapel pins, drinkware, and more. Don't forget about high school grads headed to OU. Give them a Sooner shirt or maybe a Balfour gift card to get them started on their OU journey. You will also find supplies for graduation parties like plates, napkins, balloons, banners, and other supplies. Locally owned, stop by and say hello and check out all the Sooner gear and shop online at crimsonproud.com where you will find everything Sooner.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Hands are how we give. Hands are how we receive. To lend a hand and to hand it off. Hands are how we transform and how we redistribute. Our community needs a helping hand these days, and the United Way of Norman is there to offer it. From emergency services to vocational programs to grief counseling for the youth, the United Way connects your gift with the programs that will have the greatest impact on improving the lives of everyone in the community. Make your donation today and raise your hand for your community. Learn how you can give United at UnitedWayNorman.org.
At Primrose Funeral Service, we have been compassionately serving families for over 80 years. Do your loved ones a favor by pre-planning your funeral and cemetery arrangements. With pre-planning, Primrose can help eliminate the difficult decisions at a difficult time, because nobody should plan for a loss at the same time they are experiencing one. Our sincere commitment is to make things a little easier for you and your family. So contact Primrose Funeral Service at 405-321-6000 or visit them online at primrosefuneralservice.com.
(405-651-3439) is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line for those of you that want to throw in a question or a comment as we wrap up here on Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you as we are every weekday here in the 2 o'clock hour talking OU football and recruiting. Again, 4 commitments right now for Oklahoma in the 2026 class. That number could grow before too long. And we're getting to the point, Grayson, where there's a surge every single year for Oklahoma. It's just a matter of when it happens. And the last time I can recall the surge coming this late would have been the class of 2023. Oklahoma, it took a long time to get on the board in the class of 2024. The first commit was Jeremiah Newcomb in late March, I believe. Yeah, late March. But 2023, Oklahoma had like 4, maybe 5 commits going into the month of June. It was not many. And then they just started dropping and dropping and dropping in a rapid succession. Oklahoma fans never had to wait more than a week and a half for about a 2-month window there, if not 3, between commitments. If you rewind, Jackson Arnold and Joshua Bates were the longtime commits. Eric McCarty committed pretty early on in that cycle. But that was pretty much it for a while there. Oklahoma was stuck on 3 pledges, as I recall. And then it was Keon Brown on June 5th, Cade McIntyre on June 13th, Caleb Hicks on June 15th, Heath Ozida on June 27th, Samuel Masigo on June 30th. Then July rolled around, and it was on. Phil Picciotti on Independence Day, Jacquez Petaway on the 6th, Caden Green on the 8th, Logan Howland on the 9th, PJ on the 10th, Dalen Smothers on the 14th, Lewis Carter on the 16th, Josiah Wagner on the 25th, Derek LeBlanc on the 28th. An absolute bonanza over those 2 months for Oklahoma. I say all of that to assure all of you listening that are worried about Oklahoma's recruiting efforts right now in the 2026 cycle that I don't think we're far off from that type of run kicking off. And it may happen here within the next couple of weeks.
It also goes to show, just listening to those names that you just rattled off, how much of an inexact science recruiting is, too.
Oh, my goodness. Because all of those guys, literally every single one of those guys was a blue chipper. Every single one. Well, I guess with the exception of Caleb Hicks. No, I mean, Cade McIntyre would have been the only exception. Caleb Hicks was a 4-star on at least one side. But, like, Keon Brown, 4-star. McIntyre was a 3. Hicks was a 4. Ozida was a 4. Omasiga was a 4. Picciotti was a 4. Petaway was a 4. Green, Howland, PJ. Obviously, PJ wound up being a 5, but was a 4 at the time. I mean, blue chippers on blue chippers on blue chippers. But it wasn't until the month of June that happened.
Is it off base to say that Sammy Omasigo's been the only one that has had some kind of an impact in an OU uniform out of those?
Ozida did some decent work last year.
I skipped over him. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, he did some decent work last year, and he'll be in the mix to start at left guard again this year. But, yeah, man, that 23 class, Slim Brady said it. 23 class was a pretty big flop, huh? In hindsight, yes, it absolutely was. Which is kind of stunning because that was an amazing class on paper. An absolutely amazing class, especially when you looked up at the end of the month of July and just kind of took in all of the dudes that Oklahoma had landed over the previous 2 months. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. A lot of these guys were dudes that everybody in the country wanted. Everybody in the country wanted Caden Green and Jacquez Petaway and PJ and Lewis Carter and Josiah Wagner and Dalen Smith. And, man, like – So many of those guys aren't even at OU. We've been through that 2023 class cover to cover. I won't bore you with the details of who's still here, who's done anything, who's left, whatever. But yeah, that was not that did not wind up being the class, practically speaking, that it looked to be on paper. Denver from Indiana on the Jaden O'Neal situation says, if I was Jaden, I'd tell him to go to hell. I get it's a petty business, but that's weak of OU to do this. I'm not really sure what the next word. It's a misspelled word. I can't tell what it's supposed to be. But that's weak of OU to do this crap. They better hope they get one. To me, this is beyond petty, on the verge of scumbaggery.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Yeah, it's not scumbag. I mean, look, we've discussed this from both sides. And there are two distinct sides to it. And I don't think anyone's in the wrong here. What it comes down to is that Jaden O'Neal was offered and recruited by and committed to a different offensive coordinator than the one that currently occupies that office at the University of Oklahoma. Ben Arbuckle inherited Jaden O'Neal. At no point has he told Jaden O'Neal to kick rocks. He has made it abundantly clear to Jaden O'Neal that he has a place at the University of Oklahoma and will be welcomed to the class as a signee in December if he so chooses to do that. But Ben Arbuckle's other thing has been, I'm going to recruit a guy for myself. I'm going to go find a quarterback that I think fits my scheme and my system in the 2026 cycle. And though I like you, Jaden O'Neal, as a prospect, I'm going to go try and find my next John Mateer. And I'm going to be responsible, at least to an extent, for the quarterback recruiting efforts here in the 2026 class and have my fingerprint on what we're doing in that regard. We need two quarterbacks because of where things stand numbers-wise. We would like to take two quarterbacks, and so I'm going to go recruit a second quarterback. Again, it's business on Oklahoma's end, and it's business on Jaden O'Neal's end. Oklahoma would like to take two quarterbacks. So, naturally, Jaden O'Neal isn't going to be the only one that gets recruited and pursued. But when Jaden O'Neal committed to Oklahoma, the promise that he was given by the former offensive coordinator, who, again, is no longer employed at the University of Oklahoma, was that he was going to be the only quarterback in the 2026 class. Ben Arbuckle is not responsible for honoring promises that were made by somebody other than himself.
Correct.
So, again, there are two distinct sides. Both sides have more than adequate reason to think what they think and feel what they feel. I don't think anybody is in the wrong here. What happens will happen. Oklahoma is going to be fine at the quarterback position, whether they get Jaden O'Neal or not. If they land Jaden O'Neal, he's a talented prospect that should be able to enjoy a productive college career with the proper coaching and development. If Oklahoma doesn't land Jaden O'Neal, that probably means they get Bo Bentley, who is the guy that Ben Arbuckle has made clear he believes is an ideal fit for his offense. Man. Adam from ATX on the text line says, he was offered by OU and committed to OU and BV. They should at least act like they want him. And they have. Like they have. They've visited him in person. They've welcomed him to campus on multiple occasions for unofficial visits. They've treated him like a commit in every sense. There you go. Great text from a 940 listener. If you want Arbuckle to cook the meal, you got to let him shop for the groceries.
Absolutely.
KW in the 918 says, a class full of blue-chip athletes, and not one of them blew you away with their development as a Sooner. It's got to be so easy to recruit against OU. They make so many gaffes. Well, if you're talking about evaluation, it's why you brought in Jim Nagy, isn't it? Brought in Jim Nagy to make all those evals moving forward. To avoid a replica of the 2023 class.
Let's play this fun game, though, Parker. If you've been around Jim Nagy a lot, somewhat closer than any of us have.
Sure.
Has there been anything that he has said, done, or operated that gives you any inclination that he wouldn't have taken some of the guys in the 2023 class that Oklahoma did?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I doubt Jim Nagy has gone and looked through that 23 class signee by signee and said, yeah, I would have taken this guy, I wouldn't have taken this guy. This guy sucks, should never come here. But
given what we knew about them at the time.
Yes. I don't think you have to look any further than an example like Mason James to see that Jim Nagy has some opinions that might be considered controversial or bold by some. But when he's been doing it for as long as he has, you kind of just got to take his word for it that he knows what he's doing, even if you don't really understand it. And I've said, I don't understand it with Mason James. I don't, but I'm willing to trust that there is a vision, and there is a big picture, and there is something there that Jim Nagy sees from his office in the Switzer Center that I and a lot of other folks around the recruiting industry do not see, do not understand. I'm willing to be patient and reserve judgment in that regard. But yeah, I think if you had somebody like Nagy, especially somebody that comes from the NFL discipline and isn't checking necessarily all of the same boxes with his evaluations as guys that have spent a career evaluating and recruiting college players, yeah, if he went through that 2023 class signee by signee, guarantee you there are some guys he would have said no to. There are takes he would have vetoed. I don't know which ones, but that's part of the reason why it's been a constant topic of conversation on this show for the last several weeks is that the board looks radically different since Nagy got to town because he has opinions and he has feelings and he has mantras that differ from what the existing rhetoric at Oklahoma had been when it came to scouting and evaluation. A 405 listener says, what the hell did y'all say to make 3 cops show up? Are there cops here?
Are there cops outside the station?
Are they looking for me? I don't recall committing a crime. Oh, okay. Good thing
Tyler McComas says there are 3 cops outside of here.
Oh, fun stuff. Okay, we're about to go find out what type of legal trouble Connor Pasby is in. We are out of time for this installment of Locked In here on a Tuesday. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman, assuming neither of them are under arrest, will take over on the other side.
Tyler is still free as far as I know.
Okay. Can we say the same for Ted? It's not as clear. We'll soon find out. There will be radio hosts hosting The Rush on the other side, provided they do not encounter legal trouble along the way. For Grayson Singleton, I'm Parker Thune. Thanks for coming along for the ride with us on this Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.